How to practice at home. Hello, my friend. Good to see you. How are you? Great. So listen, today I am going to give you lots of ideas about how to practice speaking English when you are alone, at home. Home Alone! Sounds like a film. Are you ready? Let's do it. So listen, today we're going to be looking at how to practice speaking English when you are alone at home. It's not so easy for many people, right? Because maybe you don't have any native English speakers in your city. Maybe there are no tourists that you can go and harass. Maybe there are no groups where you can go and chat and do English, speak English. And maybe you're not ready to go on Skype and try and find some random English person to chat with. Somebody you don't know. I mean, that can be quite hard, especially if you're a little bit shy like me. So what I want to do today is share with you lots of ideas about how you can practice speaking when you're on your own at home alone. Right. Good. Now, if you do know me, you may be thinking, what's that strange orange block over there? That wasn't there before. True, and this is my meditating mat. Sometimes where I sit and meditate sometimes. I don't sit on the wall. I'm just tidying at the moment, so I couldn't find a place to put it, so right now it's over there. Okay. The truth about speaking is that yes, you can watch videos, you can watch films, you can listen to podcasts, all of that is great. But at some point, you need to start speaking, and you can speak on your own. But also later, you'll need to start interacting and practicing speaking with people. But that's not always easy to do. And so right now today, I'm going to focus on some really practical, simple activities you can do when you're on your own at home to start practicing speaking. So the first technique is called speak into the mirror. And this is really useful, but it's really, really simple, right? It's easy because you can do this first thing in the morning when you're brushing your teeth. Or, well, you can't speak and brush your teeth, but just before you brush your teeth. And in the evening, before going to bed, when you wash your face. What do you mean? You don't wash your face in the evening? Why not? My mother always told me, make sure you wash your face, clean behind your ears, wash your neck, scrub your neck. Yeah, wash your face before you go to bed. It takes all the dust and pollution off your face, apparently. Anyway, that's a great time that you can do it. And this is good, because the key to learning and preparing for IELTS is habit, right? And if you can attach your learning to an existing habit, brushing your teeth or washing your face, then it makes it much easier. Now, I used to do this when I was learning Chinese, and in the morning, after brushing my teeth, I would just have a few sentences talking about what I'm going to do today in the future, right? Speaking Chinese, right? So today, I'm going to go to the park. I need to go to the supermarket. I'm going to buy some vegetables. I'm meeting Jack at 6 o'clock. I might go to the cinema. All in the future. Brilliant. And then at the end of the day, you can talk about what you did or what you have done, right? Today, I went to the park. I played football. I went shopping in the end. I've done a lot. It has been a good day, right? Past tense, present perfect as well. So you can see it's actually great to practice different tenses. It's a bit like writing your diary at the end of the day, right? Which is also a great way to practice writing, but this is speaking in front of the mirror. It's nice. It's reflective learning in many ways. Okay, moving on. The next one I call collocation fun, right? Collocations are words that are often used together, right? Like we talk about heavy rain. Heavy rain in English, we don't say big rain. Today there's big rain. No, there is heavy rain. So these are collocations. Collocation fun is where we're going to practice speaking, using a very common teaching method from really based on the task-based approach to teaching. And it's based on prepare, practice, present. So we'll be preparing the words, the collocations, practicing sentences, and then presenting a whole talk. Okay. Now, the reason I suggest doing this in front of the mirror is that actually there are great benefits of talking to a mirror, right? First of all, mirrors don't answer back like young children or wives. But apart from that, right, when you're speaking in the mirror, you can look at your mouth and you can see the kind of movements that you're making, which is great, right? It's useful for pronunciation. You can also check your body language. You may be surprised to see that you speak like that without ever moving your arms, or that you suddenly realize that I'm doing this all the time. That's fine, but it's being aware of your body language can be quite good. And also you feel like you're talking to someone, right? Many people I know, and this happened to me, right? I practiced for a long time with a book, and when I went to speak to somebody in the foreign language, it was like a shock seeing this face in front of me. Oh my God. But practicing with the mirror, you've got used to a face in front of you, right? So it does help. So let's look then. Prepare, practice, and present. Preparing. What I suggest you do here is you take a topic, right? A recent topic. We were studying in the live lessons was science, right? And then get some collocations. You can use your course book. If you want, you can get onto the internet. You can go to my channel and watch other contents like how to learn English, my struggle to learn English and others, etc. This one called English 5 Days, and in here, right, you have got free videos lessons. You can go through to the free video lessons, and there is a recent one on how to learn English. So you can just listen, right? Download the video. Yeah, we want to download that. And then find in there all the collocations. Look, you've got the notes here. And here you've got collocations, you've got idioms, you've got loads of stuff. And what I would do is I would take maybe 6 or 7 collocations or idioms like exact science, it's not rocket science, to be on the same wavelength. And that's the preparation, right? That's step 1. Step 2 is in front of the mirror, just make a sentence with it, right? Exact science. Well, parenting, bringing up children is not an exact science. Cooking is not an exact science. Frying an egg, it's not rocket science, it's actually quite easy, right? And then, I'm just practicing sentences here. And then in the end, after practice, present. I take one of the old part 2 questions around science. Maybe something like, describe an area of science you're interested, and then start to talk about it for maybe a minute and trying, if possible, to use some of these phrases and sentences, right? So you may say something like this. Describe an area of science you're interested in. Well, okay. I guess an area I'm interested in actually is cooking. And I know it's not an exact science, but I guess it's a branch of science. A branch of food science, maybe. Right? And I am interested in the science behind cooking. I think it's very interesting. I know with cooking, when you heat things up, they change. And when you mix different things, like sugar and vinegar, you get different levels of acidity and chemical reactions happen. So I think it's really interesting, right? I think chefs and scientists are really on the same wavelength because they're trying to experiment, discover new things, whether it's cooking or new dishes, things like that. I know cooking isn't rocket science, but I am interested in how it works. And so, yes, although it's not a hard science, I think it's an interesting area of science for me. So you can see what I'm doing really here is not giving a perfect part to answer. I'm just trying to activate and practice some of these expressions that I've been learning. And that's it, really. So that's it. It's great because that preparing the collocations, practicing the sentences, and then presenting a talk is a really tried and tested method. Do it in front of the mirror. It's great. You get everything. You get the contact with somebody, but you can see yourself. You can monitor yourself. It's really, really effective collocation fun. Great. I want to go and do it. It sounds like so much fun. I'm going to do it again right now. I'll be back in a moment. And next up is practice with short audios. Now, I am a big fan of extensive listening, right? Listening to podcasts and films, that's great. But when it comes to speaking, I think short audios are much better. They are bite-sized chunks. They're easy to use, and your concentration is shorter, for shorter periods of time. You can work with, for example, recorded IELTS sample answers. There are many websites have those. Not written, it must be recorded, right? You want to listen and then speak. There's a tool that I've talked about in the past to many of the students here. It's called LingQ, and I like it because it's full of short audios that you can use to help start speaking. And it's free. I mean, there is a paid version, but you can get lots of stuff for free, which is great here. So let me show you first of all how that might work. So this is LingQ, okay? I'm not going to explain how it works. You can find that out once you kind of sign up for free. But basically, there's a library. You choose your level here. So let's say I'm going to go intermediate, and you can choose down here different audios to listen to. I've got one of my previous lessons here about sport that I will open up. And let me just show you briefly how it works. We'll just focus on the bit on the left, okay? Okay, let's try. Hello, Stephen. Hello, Steve. Nice to see you again. Nice to see you again. So what I want you to focus on first is as you listen to the sentence, pick out the stressed words. Nice to see you. Nice see you. Like to chat a bit about your interest in sports. Chat, interest, sports. So I'm just repeating the stressed words. Chat, interest, sports. Sure. You lived in Japan for quite a few years, I think. Lived Japan years, I think. Right about 9 years. 9 years. Okay. So you can see I'm just doing the word stress, and also you can also pick out chunks or phrases that you like or that sound interesting. Years, and I think you lived in different cities. That's right, I lived in Sendai for 4 years, which is a little bit north of Tokyo. A little bit north. A little bit north. That's interesting. Which is a little bit north, right? Not in the north, not located in the north, is a little bit north of. Nice. Tokyo for 4 years and then 1 year down south in Shikoku. Down south. Interesting. Not in the south, down south. Okay. And did you play any sports when you were in Japan? A little bit. A little bit. I love that. A little bit. A little bit. Played a little bit of soccer. I played a little bit of soccer. A little bit of soccer, isn't that great? So you can see I'm picking out either the stressed words or little phrases or chunks that I like, and this is really helping us listen and prepare for speaking. Next, what you'll do after you've finished, if you want, you can check the tape script as you listen again. That's fine. But at the end, what I would like you to try and do is try to repeat the audio or the lesson, giving a summary. So repeating it with your words, not reading, not listening. In fact, you can just close that and focus on your own words, right? Oops. And then after you've done that, and you've done a bit of practice, you could then try to retell the lesson or the story and record yourself. If you're not sure, you can use there's mobile apps to record your voice. There's Vocaroo, which is also a very simple online voice recorder, and recording yourself is great because it puts pressure on you. And that, my friend, is good. Also, you can then, once you've listened back, go and compare to the original lesson or story with the tape script and see if it's different. Did you make a mistake? Instead of saying a little bit of football, did you say a little bit football? Or did you use different collocations, right? Instead of individualized sports, did you say personal sports? Something different. That noticing, again, puts pressure on you, which is great. And it also helps you notice. A noticing language is a kind of feedback, which is essential to improve. So that's it. Practice with short audios. Right, the next one is really fun, and it's about imitating your favorite English-speaking actor or actress. Okay, so here, when you watch a film in English, take some of the actors that you really like and pretend to be them, right? So you're copying their body language, their gestures, their facial expressions, their accent, their voice, their words. You're copying everything. Why does this work? Because it's all about identity. A key part of language learning is your identity as an English speaker. And as students, we often have a mask, or we can create a mask that we hide behind when we speak a foreign language. And this can be very, very helpful to reduce anxiety or stress, especially if you're shy or you don't want to, you're embarrassed of mistakes and of not speaking correctly. When you have this mask to hide behind, it doesn't matter because you're being somebody else, and it's great fun to do this with actors and actresses. Is that actresses? Actresses that you like. Let me show you a very, very simple example. There's a great actor called Rowan Atkinson. You may know him for Mr. Bean, but he plays a myriad of characters, and one of the recent ones is Johnny English, right? Let's have a look at Johnny English. I'm not sure. Let me clear up the uncertainty for you. You haven't. Let me clear up the uncertainty for you. You haven't. Right. So it's that taking the character, try and do the voice and the whole body, and you become that character. And you can do that when you're practicing speaking on your own, right? You probably don't want to do it when you're out and about at the shops or speaking to foreign people. Hello. They'll think you're Johnny English. They think you're mad. But when you're having fun at home, it can be a great way to practice. So that's it. Imitate your favorite English-speaking actor. The next one is to send audio messages, right? Now, if you're using Facebook, WhatsApp, other social medias that have a chat facility, often we send text messages. You probably send them in your own language, but you could think about sending them in English, right? And go a step further. Send an audio message rather than a written message, because that will be practicing your English. Okay. You can do this if you have some friends who maybe speak English or family members. You can have a bit of fun with them practicing sending messages to each other in English or any other language, right? I mean, we do this sometimes. It can be quite fun to do. And the great thing about sending audio messages is it's not like a live phone conversation where the pressure is there. You have time to prepare to think about what you're going to say to record it, and if you don't like it, delete it. Record it again. But it doesn't have to be perfect, right? It's just about practice. Not perfection, practice. So sending audio messages is a great way to do it. Next up, imitate the English foreigner. Now, I'm sure most people can imagine or know how English people speak your language, right? If you've got tourists or you've met people from other countries who speak your language, how do the English people speak your language, right? Take that sound, that accent, and start to use it. So, for example, let's imagine I'm Spanish, right? And I'm thinking, so how do English people speak Spanish, right? They don't speak perfectly. They speak with an English accent, right? So the Spanish person would try and speak Spanish with the English accent, right? And then switch to English, but keep that accent. Hello? How are you? I'm fine, thank you. Can you hear that? That the same pronunciation and accent is easy to switch, and suddenly my English sounds English. It sounds great. Right. That's it. I'm doing an example with Spanish, but you could do it with any other language, right? Think how English people speak your language. Speak your language with that accent, and then switch to English, keeping that British accent, or English accent, or American accent. It really can be quite useful and fun to boot. Great. Now the next idea is shadowing. Of course, a shadow, right? If the sun is shining down on the floor behind you, you have a shape the same as you, right? Dark. That's your shadow. The sun leaves a shadow. You leave a shadow. And to shadow someone is to follow somebody. So if I shadow you, it means I'm following you. Sometimes detectives will shadow suspicious people, right? Now, in language, when we shadow somebody, it can be just to repeat them, but you're very close behind them, right? Remember, wherever you go, your shadow follows very closely. So here, the thing to do is to find a short audio and to listen for maybe a minute and to repeat almost on top of the voice, but maybe a fraction of a second behind them. So you're just behind them, but you are really following them very, very closely. Do not wait for the sentence to finish and then repeat. This is different. This is being really close behind them, and it forces you to pick up on word stress and intonation. And if you focus on those two things, it really can help build up that speaking skill, word stress and intonation. Let me kind of demonstrate. So we've taken from Q-lips or Q-lips a little audio. First of all, I recommend you listen to the minute completely so you've got an idea of what it's about. And I've already done that because I'm well prepared. And then second time, you listen and shadow. Let me show you how close we are behind it. I'm going to use my phone so you can hear properly. So Jeremy, let's get into it. Talk about how to talk about pots. how to talk about movies and music and the kind of artwork that enriches our lives. This topic was suggested to us by one of our listeners, and she sends us email, which I will read for everybody. Now it says, okay. I think you get the idea, right? So it's different from wait, listen, and repeat. It's shadowing, following closely. At first it's very hard, but the more you do it, the more you'll be noticing word stress, intonation, even accent. I noticed I was picking up a Canadian accent. About, it's all about. Right, that is shadowing. Let's move on. So we've had shadowing, right? Now we're going to look at responding. What is responding? Well, put very, very simply, responding is you hear a question, you get an idea, you give an answer. You respond. The biggest problem students have is that they practice. They take a question, they know the question, they've prepared it, and they practice giving answers, right? What happens in the exam? Well, surprise. Surprise, in part 3, you get strange questions you weren't ready for. What do you think of globalization? And what do you do? Well, first of all, have something to say about globalization, right? Make sure you've done a bit of research on the topics. Get some ideas. If you don't know, you can always say, oh, I haven't thought about that, let me see, right? Use a time filler to gain time. Let me see, right? Use a time filler to gain time. But the most important thing is that in your practice, as well as looking at these topics, right, you need to practice responding. Because in part 3 in the exam, the biggest problem students tell me is they don't have an idea. I didn't know what to say. I wasn't expecting that. I just couldn't get my ideas out and speak. So you need to practice responding where you hear a question, you've got no idea what it is, you get an idea quickly, and you answer, right? It's a bit of pressure, but as I mentioned before, a bit of pressure is good in your practice. Now you can do this if you have a speaking partner, really effectively, right? So what you do is one of you says, I'm going to bring into our next session 5 questions and you don't know what they are. And the other person does the same. You come into your session and you ask each other these surprise questions, and it's a shock at first, but it's like anything. It's like going down the gym. You just practice this and you build up the skill. If you haven't got a speaking partner, you can do a bit of practice on my YouTube channel, right? If you know my YouTube channel, right? English Spoken Stories, hidden away in the playlists, go on the playlists. There's lots here that you've probably never seen, and at the very bottom, you'll see 2 episodes which very useful for you, right? And then the next question. Let me just play it for you, and you'll see. Let's press shuffle, and it plays automatically. Do you like your hometown? Oh, that's a good question. Do I like my hometown? Yeah, I think my hometown, Manchester, which is up in the north of England, is a very attractive place. There's lots of restaurants and shops. It does attract quite a few tourists as well, and they often come in to see the industrial landscape or the football pitches. We have a famous football team called Manchester United. And Manchester, do tourists like to visit your hometown? Yeah, there are quite a lot of tourists who come to visit my hometown. So you see what's happening, right? It's just automatically asking me the next question, and I practice responding. Because I don't know what the questions are because it's shuffle, random. So you can practice that. You can also make your own, right? Set up your own YouTube channel. Don't worry about people finding it. They rarely do, and you just put some questions up with a gap for the answer, and then shuffle and Bob's your uncle. Fantastic. That's it. The next suggestion is describe what you are doing. And I know a lot of teachers suggest this as a way of thinking in English, right? So when you're out and about, when you're out and about maybe in the park and you're seeing different things, you describe what you see. Now I suggest you start with words, right? So there you are out and about in the park and you see, oh, bicycle, person, path, trees, bag, woman, phone, and you're using words, right? And then, right. As you're walking around the park, you make collocations, little chunks of language, right? Riding a bike, a long path, a cluster of trees, the woman glued to her phone, picnic, having a picnic maybe, right? And then you go on to make sentences, okay? This is a bit like that we mentioned earlier, the prepare, practice, present. So you're going from words to collocation to sentences, right? Oh, there's a man strolling in the park. There's a woman riding a bike, and also there are lots of trees. There's a woman glued to her phone, and she looks like she's about to have a picnic. And you go on and on and on, right? Great, you can do it in any context. You can do it at home or when you're out, at the shops, wherever. Now you may think and you may say, yeah, but Ariel, you can't go round the streets talking to yourself. People think you're mad. Well, yes and no, right? Nowadays, put these on, right? Nowadays, people walk around and they're on the phone and like, hello. Yeah, John. Yeah. I'm in the park, actually. Yeah, it's lovely. There's a man strolling over there. There's a woman riding a bicycle. Yeah, I'm good. How are you? Right? That's perfectly normal to be talking to yourself in the streets, right? And if you're not comfortable with that, you can pretend that you're Johnny English, right? Pretend you're a spy. Hello? Yes? There's a man walking along a path. There's a woman riding a bicycle, and I think there's a woman glued to her phone, and she's about to have a picnic. Call in the police. Get Johnny English. Pretend to be a spy. I don't know. It's very, very normal, but the key speak out and go from words to collocation to sentences. Great practice. You can do it at home as well. I mean, I'm talking about getting some fresh air. Nowadays, that's not so easy, right?